According to Vince Lombardi, winners never quit and quitters never win. It's cool to say things like that, and never give up, and never stop trying, and it's usually the right attitude. At the same time, like everything in the real world, there's more to it than these few motivational words. Sometimes you have to try a different way or a different strategy. Sometimes you have to wait until conditions change. Sometimes you have to force a change in the situation and lay the groundwork for success. We have to face these realities, strategic, situational, and even psychological. It's hard. It takes a toll. It doesn't mean we can give up, but it does mean just keep trying isn't enough. Welcome back, and thank you for wanting to know the facts and the truth. What's going on in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is big. You can't miss it on the news. You can't miss it on college campuses, and you really can't miss it online. But what are the facts? Why is this happening? That's what we're here to answer. Our approach is to examine the major themes and focus on the important events that help you make sense of what's happening today. We care about knowing the truth. We also care about the basic human right to live in peace. We care about ending the suffering. We care about finding justice. And we think you're here because you do too. The only path for us then is to go after the facts and be open to what they show us. Life can be beautiful without hatred, violence, and war, and maybe the way there starts with better understanding each other, better understanding the Jewish people, the Palestinian people, the history of their conflicts and past peace efforts, and some of the major issues standing in the way of forging real peace. What the Hell is Going On in Gaza is a 9-part series made up of 30 episodes, each designed to help you understand a different but important part of the picture. As part 4 of our series continues, we'll consider the fact that there have been attempts to find peace between the Israelis and Palestinians for decades and decades. Why has it failed so many times? What's really going on? Here in episode 20, we'll look at the question, did Israel give up? And by that we mean, did Israel give up on peace, on trying to find a path to peaceful coexistence with an independent Palestinian state? Did all the violence and bloodshed and failed peace attempts push Israelis to a point where they no longer believe that peace is possible? Let's talk about it. When we look at the list of failed peace attempts, it's hard not to be shaken by how tragically long it is. From 1965 to 2020, there have been more than 30 peace attempts, and we know they all failed because there isn't peace today. Even worse, the possibility of peace between Israelis and Palestinians seems farther away than ever. This history has, for sure, affected the views of Israeli citizens and therefore Israeli politics. After so many failed attempts at peace, and particularly after critical opportunities for peace were responded to with violence and terrorism, the Israeli electorate has moved to the right. Their hopes for peace in the near term have been diminished, and their priorities refocused on security. Many believe this is what explains the election of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and others on the right, in his cabinet and in the Knesset, which is sort of like the parliament or Congress in Israel. Many also believe that these repeated failures to achieve peace led Netanyahu to give up on the idea of working with the Palestinians to achieve real peace through an independent Palestinian state, that is, a two-state solution. In January, Netanyahu reaffirmed his position, posting on X, quote, "I will not compromise on full Israeli security control over all the territory west of Jordan, and this is contrary to a Palestinian state." Our purpose here is not to be political, just factual. So let's look at Netanyahu's view of the PA and a two-state solution based on his own statements. What we'll see is that Netanyahu came to believe that the Palestinian Authority could not be trusted, and therefore a new Palestinian state could not be trusted. He came to believe that a two-state solution would only bring more terrorism and death to Israel. And, as Prime Minister, he clearly acted on those beliefs. As reported by the Huffington Post, Netanyahu, in a December 2023 news conference, said, quote, "I'm proud that I prevented the establishment of a Palestinian state because today everybody understands what that Palestinian state could have been, now that we've seen the little Palestinian state in Gaza." He went on, quote, Everyone understands what could have happened if we had capitulated to international pressures and enabled a state like that in Judea and Samaria, surrounding Jerusalem and on the outskirts of Tel Aviv. People can and do disagree about whether Netanyahu is right or wrong on this point, whether today peaceful coexistence is possible. Without wading into politics, we can say that imposing a two-state solution today, when neither a majority of Israelis nor a majority of Palestinians support it, when mutual distrust has never been greater, when the leadership in Gaza openly calls for the murder of all Jews, when the leadership in the West Bank maintains its pay-to-slay policy, when Land for Peace has failed as a strategy more than once already, when a two-state solution means a Palestinian state armed by Israel's enemies, when this is the situation, can we really say it's outrageous and immoral for many Israelis, including Netanyahu, to oppose a two-state solution? Our point is that there are rational arguments both for and against supporting a two-state solution today. As you can see in this chart how seats in the Knesset are divided among Israeli political parties, support for the Netanyahu government and its policies is very much split. In episode 30, we do our best to outline some of the principal considerations for achieving peace, though we really hope you won't jump ahead. There are a lot more facts to consider first. Regardless of whether Netanyahu's basic theory was right or wrong, his tactics and execution appear to have failed badly. Netanyahu chose to strengthen Hamas as a political counterweight to the Palestinian Authority. This strategy clearly contributed to the heavy toll exacted on Israelis and Palestinians alike by Hamas's October 7th attack and Israel's response. The New York Times reported that Netanyahu believed this at least as early as 2012, writing, quote, "As far back as December 2012, Mr. Netanyahu told the prominent Israeli journalist Dan Margalit that it was important to keep Hamas strong as a counterweight to the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank. Mr. Margalit, in an interview, said that Mr. Netanyahu told him that having two strong rivals, including Hamas, would lessen pressure on him to negotiate toward a Palestinian state." Israeli newspaper Haaretz reported that Netanyahu told his party that bolstering Hamas and giving them money was part of their strategy. They reported that in 2019, Netanyahu told his Likud party, quote, "Anyone who wants to thwart the establishment of a Palestinian state has to support bolstering Hamas and transferring money to Hamas. This is part of our strategy." What we know so far is that 1. Israel certainly has reason to be discouraged after so many failed attempts at peace and so many attacks against its citizens, and 2. The elected Prime Minister of Israel has made it perfectly clear that he does not believe peaceful coexistence is possible today. So to our big question, has Israel given up? The answer is no, Israel hasn't. Even though some political factions, like Netanyahu's Likud party, clearly do not believe that a Jewish state and a Palestinian state can coexist in peace today, other political parties do. The same dynamic exists among Israeli citizens. Some believe a two-state solution is needed, while others believe it would just lead to tragedy, as in Gaza. However, we can say with certainty that the trend is growing skepticism that a two-state solution is viable. There are numerous polls that show a continuing decline in hope among both Jewish and Arab Israelis, even before Hamas's October 7th attack. Pew Research found that the percentage of both Jewish Israelis and Arab Israelis who believe Israel and an independent Palestinian state can coexist peacefully has declined significantly over the last decade. The percentage of Arab Israelis has fallen from 74% in 2013 to 41% in 2023, and among Jewish Israelis, it has fallen from 46% in 2013 to 32% in 2023, and this is before the October 7th Hamas attack. According to a December 2023 poll conducted by Gallup, after the October 7th Hamas attack, the numbers became even starker, with only 1 in 4 Israelis saying they support a two-state solution, down from 61% in 2012. The same Gallup poll found that the expectations for lasting peace between Israel and Palestine had fallen to an all-time low of just 13% among Israeli citizens. While these polls are sobering, we have to keep in mind that Palestinian leadership, if not most Palestinian Arabs, were never on board with the idea of a two-state solution, even though it is assumed by most Westerners to be the correct and only solution. We'll have more on Palestinian views in episode 28. The road to peace in the Middle East wasn't easy in the past, and it won't be easy in the future. Decades of failed peace attempts, violence, and terrorism are clearly taking a toll. While Israelis haven't fully given up on peace, they are clearly discouraged and taking the risk that an independent Palestinian state will want to live at peace with them feels more dangerous all the time. It seems clear that more must happen to change the risks before a majority of Israelis will accept a two-state solution. And along these lines, if the risks worsen and the violence escalates, maybe from Hezbollah in the north or in the West Bank, then the possibility of peace may slip even farther away. Now that we've come to the end of part 4 in our series, let's review what we've learned. We learned that Palestinians have rejected every peace offer proposed because peace is not their goal. Erasing Israel and the Jewish people from the Middle East is. We learned that Palestinian demands are impossible. Not only do they reject Israel's right to exist, they demand the right of return for 6 million Palestinians, descendants of the 700,000 Palestinians who left, many voluntarily, during the 1948 war against Israel, which the Arabs started. We learned that Hamas cannot be a partner in peace because Hamas is a terrorist organization that cannot be trusted. We learned that land for peace has been tried before, including in Gaza, but always with disastrous results. We learned that after so many failed attempts at peace, many that only were answered with violence, Israelis and their government have become far less hopeful about the prospects of peaceful coexistence. We learned that many Israelis have become skeptical of any two-state solution, though Palestinians have never been interested in a two-state solution. In summary, we can answer this episode's question by saying that Israel has not given up. However, because Palestinians remain intransigent in their demands for peace, Israelis' hopes have dimmed, and their willingness to keep trying is weakened. Thank you for watching episode 20 and all of part 4 in our series. Hopefully now you have a better understanding of the issue. Did Israel give up? If you'd like to leave a comment or get in touch, visit our website at www.getthefactsmiddleeast.com. This was just a start. There's a lot more to learn, so please keep going. Next up is episode 21 in part 5, where we'll explore the question, who does the world blame? Thank you for joining us. We appreciate your interest in learning more about the war in Gaza. And remember, where there is no knowledge, there can be no insight.